the finance bill appeared to have been a trigger. Right. But it was something that was bubbling under. There was a feeling of, discomfort with government and, just wanting things to get better.
Yes.
And the finance bill provided an avenue for people just to come together and gravitate.
Yes.
Since then, what has it become?
I don't think it has become anything, I think it's just entering the fullness of its manifestation. Where, for example, if the finance was a scab and there was a rot or a cancer down there, it's an exploration of whatever the discussed or the bigger issue is. It's still, and it's a thing that I still believe in. I think the movement has just but begun, but there's also the role of propaganda and misinformation within the movement. There's also people trying to settle personal scores. There's also people who are in there to raise money, and that's part of what I think greatly did a great disservice and injustice to the movement. And a lot of the time when people talk about Nane Nane, which was recently, it was supposed to be very big. But if you think about the things that transpired, by the time people were getting to Nane Nane, state had already caught up with the fact that they could sponsor hashtags and people to just sponsor a totally different agenda. There was censorship very heavily. There was barring from people to get into town. But also, just within the citizens, there are people who sought to have private gain in the name of the collective. So there are people who will just sit down somewhere because they can design a poster. They let out the poster and they know that they can play into the anger of Kenyans and the collective dissatisfaction in the public. So if I were to debrief Nane Nane, if it were totally up to me, knowing what I knew just the evening before, we would have called it off. But
Wednesday night?
Yes, on Wednesday night. Just seeing and knowing that there are people who just were doing this for the sake of chaos. They were just doing it for the sake of protests and sustained protests because that made them money. On the protester side, this is not even on state.
How are they making money?
So, when we have, I don't want to call it civil unrest, but when we have these activities that require mobilization, especially against state, there are certain progressive organizations that are willing to give people money for that. And that's why I think if I were to do it differently, the only reason I marched for Nane Nane was for the people who actually believe in the cause. There are comrades who would come from Kibra. They would walk from Kibra, guys would walk from Githurai. And you want to tell me that now we're calling off this thing. Make it make sense. Because remember, there are also very many detractors, people who just came into the wave, rode the wave, and just let it go. I was doing it for these university students. I had a university student who sent me, a guy called David, who sent me 100 shillings and said, I'm sorry, I can't make it on the street, but go and march. There are people who actually truly believe in the cause and what it is that we were doing. But there was an individualism towards it that greatly took away from the movement. That would be my analysis of it.